Hey everyone, welcome back. It's been a while since I last posted a video, so I hope you're all doing fine. Today's game is from the recent Title Tuesday event organized by chess.com with time controls of 3 minutes plus 2-second increment. It's a game played between Alexander Grischuk and Simon Williams, aka the gingergm. Grischuk played absolutely brilliantly in this event. He scored 9.5 out of 10. And in this game against Williams, Grischuk had the white pieces and opened with e4. Simon played e6, the French defense, a system that he plays quite often. So here Grischuk played knight f3, going for a sideline. The main move is of course to go d4, grabbing more central control. But here knight f3, Williams pushes d5, knight c3, we have d4, knight e2, c5 and knight g3, preparing to develop the light square bishop. So what does Simon Williams do when he's playing such a strong blitz player in Grischuk? He goes for the move h5, no backing down. And this is actually a decent move since the knight on g3 feels a bit awkward. So now Grischuk plays bishop to c4. So now knight e2 will not block in the bishop. Williams continues on h4, pushing Harry down the board. We have knight to e2, knight c6, d3, bishop e7, and h3 from Grischuk, not allowing Simon to push h3 himself. So here Williams develops his knight. We have c3 from Grischuk, challenging black's center, a6 from Williams. So Simon could have also considered taking this pawn, as the pawn on d4 could potentially become a weakness for black. So black can play e5 to try and overprotect this pawn on d4, but that does leave f7 a bit vulnerable, and white's light square bishop becomes much stronger on this diagonal. So instead Williams plays a6, not worrying too much about the pawn, and he is preparing to play b5 and bishop b7. So now bishop g5 from Grischuk, developing his last minor piece and also attacking the h4 pawn. Simon could have played d takes c3 again, but he made a slight inaccuracy by playing knight d7, which deals with the problem of the h-pawn, but that does leave d4 hanging. So here Grischuk took on e7, we have queen takes e7, and now Grischuk took on d4. And he now brings the rook to the newly opened c-file, rook c1. White is in no rush to capture this pawn. Again, black doesn't really want to play e5, as that only gives white's light square bishop more scope and also access to the d5 square as well. So here Williams played knight d to e5, hoping to first eliminate this bishop before playing e5 and then developing his own light square bishop. Grischuk decided to capture the knight. Knight takes e5, Grischuk played f4, knight takes c4, rook takes c4, and here e5. So Simon manages to open up some lines for his bad bishop. So here Grischuk took on e5, we have queen takes e5, and Grischuk simply castled kingside. No rush to take on d4. And now Williams plays b5. Perhaps he could have played bishop e6 right away since he has already played the move e5. But instead b5, attacking the rook. But that does leave black a bit behind in development. Here rook takes d4 from Grischuk, bishop to e6. So Grischuk is up a pawn and black is kind of underdeveloped. Queen d2 from Grischuk. So if Williams were to continue with castles, then after a3, Grischuk would have a very pleasant position with a nice and strong center. So after queen to d2, Williams, true to his style, played the move g5, trying to play for g4. Grischuk responded with a4, discouraging Williams from pushing the g-pawn. If black continues with g4, then we could have something like this. Now d5 is unprotected, so rook d5, queen e7, a takes, Knight to d4, b5 is dropping, and black's king is incredibly exposed. So after a4, Simon sensed the danger in the position, and he decided to bail out. Here he castled. We have a takes b5, a takes b5, rook b4. So white is preparing to push his central pawns. Rook after d8, queen to e3, first protecting e4 before establishing central control. Rook a to c8. Both players were already very short on time, but Grischuk's position is definitely much easier to play. Here he played d4, queen back to g7, gotta keep an eye on g5. Rook takes b5, so Grischuk already up 2 pawns with a dominant center, and this is looking extremely good for him. So here f6 from Williams defending the pawn. We have d5, bishop d7, rook b6, now attacking f6, so rook to f8 defending. Knight to d4, now eyeing some juicy squares on e6 and f5. Queen e7 from Williams, and knight to e6. Rook f7 from Williams, getting out of the knight's attack. Grischuk goes b4, making use of his outside pass pawn, and now Williams decides to get rid of this annoying knight. Bishop takes e6, rook takes e6, queen takes b4, rook e takes f6, and black's position seems pretty hopeless now. g5 is about to fall, so Williams tries rook to g7, just trying to hang on. But here Grischuk goes queen f3, queen d4 check, king to h1, and rook over to e8, trying to get some counterplay. But Grischuk simply goes queen h5, the queen enters the position, and now this is fatal. Rook h6 is a big threat. Simon tried queen takes e4, but Grischuk continued on rook h6. The threat is now to play rook to h8, which would be mate. So Williams tried rook h7. Black seems to have covered everything, but here the queen is actually overloaded. Grischuk simply took on h7, and in this position, Simon Williams resigned. If queen takes h7, then queen takes e8, with mate soon to follow. So that is all for this video. I hope you enjoyed the game. Thanks for watching, and see you soon.